For the final word in sports all across the state, you're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
Just go back, hit rewind every time we play Georgia. I can think of one game at Georgia, but outside of that one, where with a minute to go, the coaches are just sitting down and saying, okay, this game's over. I think every game's come down to that last minute, last possession of the game. Every game's an absolute rock fight. I don't think this one's going to be any different.
Watching film and listening to Buzz a couple of times, I think they put a lot of time on their defense here lately, and I think it shows. They're playing very good defense, obviously, especially in the game against Virginia. I thought that was an unbelievable win on the road. So hands full, but, another big ACC game on the road.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, on a Wednesday night when we are absolutely slammed. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, Will Pelagic over at the Colonial Life Arena for USC and Georgia. He'll join us in just a moment to give us a feel for what's happening over there. Clemson tonight up at Virginia Tech. USC tips at 6:30. Clemson tips tonight at 7 o'clock in a huge ACC game. All these games, of course, are big to the individual teams in terms of tournaments, seedings, and things of that nature, trying to avoid the play-in round in your respective tournaments. Of course, Clemson's not worrying about that. They're trying to kind of regain their footing here with a 2-game losing streak and get back to improving their status for the NCAA tournament. We've got baseball galore. USC is leading Winthrop 9-2 over at Founders Park. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Gamecocks blew this one open with a 6-run third. Hunter Taylor had a grand slam for the Gamecocks in that inning. 9-7-1 for the Gamecocks, 2-4-3 for Winthrop. Struggling so far this year, looking for their first win of the season. Another big game in the state today. Thought this might be a good game. It's anything but. Coastal Carolina slamming the College of Charleston, top of the 7th, 13-0. Chanticleers 13-13-1, 0-3-4 for the Cougars, and Coastal coming off a 3-1 start to the season in baseball at the beach, looking very good early on. This will be Charleston's first loss of the season. So things are not going well for Chad Holbrook there. Things are going well for his former team in Columbia. The pros back with us after a night off. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, enough to keep your head spinning.
Well, this is one of those games, Chad Holbrook, and all the games in midweek when you're trying out your pitching, somebody's got to take one for the team. Meaning if you give up 7 runs, you still keep throwing. You're okay. You're doing fine, and that's one of those days.
Well, leading the way for Coastal in this game, a guy that is an All-American going into the season and playing that way, batting .409. Kevin Woodall Jr.'s got 2 homers. Wind must be blowing out at Patriot Point and getting that thing up in the jet stream. Now that, not that he needs any help because he can get it out of most ballparks. He's got 2 of them today. Let's head over to the Colonial Life Arena. Fans no doubt starting to file in. 6:30 tip. Tough tip time midweek for Gamecock basketball in terms of drawing a crowd. People are going home from work. People trying to get into town, get to the arena, fighting traffic. We'll see what the atmosphere is like in the arena. Will, the Gamecocks could use a strong push from the home fans tonight like they got in their win over Auburn, because this is a big game. They've already beaten Georgia once. This will give them a tiebreaker in the standings if it comes down to that, to staying away from the play-in round of the SEC tournament.
They would need a push from their home crowd, Corn, but it looks like it's going to be a late arriving crowd, as you surmised. About 15 to tip here, and it's pretty empty. I can't. And again, you mentioned the fact that it's a tough tip time. I know that the SEC Network wanted to get an early game in, possibly put in a couple more, shoehorning them in on the schedule, but not many here yet. And I know that there were a lot of people trying to get in here on the traffic just outside of Blossom here at Colonial Life Arena. But as far as on the floor, the Gamecocks for the second time in the last couple of weeks will play a team that they've beaten before in this season, taking on a Georgia ball club that has at least come back and played very well. They're trying to get themselves going in front of a possible coaching change that could come about here at the end of the season with Mark Fox. He's fighting for his job, and the players are fighting for him. The Gamecocks have to be feeling pretty off of the game that they played against Auburn. We'll see if they can bottle up some of that energy that they had on Saturday against the Tigers and bring it here against the Bulldog team, again, that they beat earlier in the season. They had a 9-point lead at one time with 2:21 left before the Bulldogs basically got themselves back in and basically made a game out of it. Deontay Mayton with 19 points in his last contest. He did not do well against the Gamecocks here last time out between those two. So it'll be interesting to see if that can stay true to form or how the Gamecocks look to try to attack him, Colin.
Yep, he is the key for Georgia. There's no doubt about it. Make a strong argument for him as player of the year in the league, even though the team isn't going all that well. They missed the star guard power that they had on that team last few years, no doubt about it. But Mayton has been a stalwart. We mentioned last night, I think he's been their leading scorer in like 19 of their games, Will. And South Carolina's got to stay out of foul trouble, maybe get some quality minutes from Jason Cutt. Maybe his size in there with his arms up can affect Mayton. Then again, you got to be careful with him because he'll drift outside and knock down the 10 to 15-foot jump shot against you.
Yeah, I don't know if Cutt is the best matchup for him as far as a man-to-man matchup. I mean, you could end up seeing South Carolina play a little bit more zone with Cutt on the floor because you don't want to necessarily jace him away from the middle of the floor. I know that they've also used Cutt and Silva on the floor at the same time because Silva has the ability to possibly go out and guard some more players on the ball. But it's an interesting matchup. It's one where these two teams have played very, very close matchup, as you heard Frank Martin say in the open. He's expecting a rock fight. I don't know if there's going to be a very high-scoring game, but if the Gamecock defense is anywhere like it was against Auburn, they have a chance tonight to possibly make 2 in a row.
Well, you know, in college basketball, let's face it, guys, it's the guards that really stir the drink, and Georgia struggled all year. It's almost like South Carolina and Georgia looking in a mirror because if South Carolina lost their point guard last year, J.J. Frazier was South Carolina's kryptonite. You know, you could have Mayton on the floor. You weren't worried about Mayton. You were worried about Mighty Mite in J.J. Frazier. South Carolina, I think, can have Mayton have all he can eat as long as they cut that backcourt off. And I think Cud would be a good assignment for Obede to keep his big behind him under the basket.
Yeah, another big guy in there for Georgia. All right, Will, thanks very much. We'll catch you at halftime. Yeah, these teams in recent years, they have played some real down-to-the-wire games. Going back to the 2016 season, here are your last 5 results. Georgia wins 74-72 and then 65-64. In 2017, USC won 67-61 and then 77-75. And then earlier this year, 64-57. And so they have played some real close games. That 74-72 loss in 2016 was a SEC tournament loss for the Gamecocks to Georgia. Remember that night quite well. That was the night that Thornwell turned the ball over at the very end. Remember that? I think it was Frazier who stripped him.
Yeah.
The Gamecocks were coming down with an attempt to tie the game or win it with a 3, and Frazier stole the ball. And the Gamecocks ended up going home early from the SEC tournament. I would expect nothing else different tonight. I would expect a very close, down-to-the-wire game at the CLA. Meantime, up at Castle Coliseum, one of the toughest places to play in the ACC when Virginia Tech's going well and the Hokies are going well. 19-8, playing a 20-6 Clemson team that's on a 2-game losing streak. And the Tigers taking on the Hokies tonight, looking to bounce back from a tough loss at home to Duke, a disappointing loss on the road at Florida State. They'll be without Shelton Mitchell tonight. Who's going to handle the ball against the pressure, against the fast pace that Virginia Tech will try and push in this ball game?
They have to control the pace, this Clemson. They may have to slow it down a tad. And DeVoe, I think, has to use his driving game. He has to show that he can have some versatility than just huddling out on the three-point line.
It's not a big Virginia Tech team. You wonder if Brad Brownell will be tempted to go big and try and take advantage of that, or if he needs to go smaller to protect the basketball. Be right back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Coming up here on Sports Talk, we have got Duggar Balcom, head basketball coach of the Citadel Bulldogs. They beat East Tennessee State on the road. They have all of a sudden become a very difficult team to play. I don't think anybody in the Southern Conference wants to face them in the upcoming Southern Conference tournament. They have won some games. They have played some people close in losses. And I want to find out from him what exactly clicked at about midseason to get this team rolling. And then after the top of the hour, Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach, will join us. Tigers have a huge series this weekend. You might not believe it if you're not a real college baseball fan. Dallas Baptist, very good college baseball team, an NCAA tournament team coming to Doug Kingsmore for 3. It's big in a couple of ways. Number one, he'll get a real good look at his team. Number two, it's big in the RPI stuff for later on in the year. And it just should be an excellent weekend of baseball for the Tigers. Time permitting, hopefully, we'll hear from Mark Kingston tonight following the Gamecocks game against Winthrop. It has slowed down a little bit. It's now 11-2. It's 11-2 USC on top of Winthrop. They are in the bottom of the 6th, and the Gamecocks have the bases loaded, so this thing could really get ugly if it's not already ugly.
It is 2 out, though.
11-10-1 for the Gamecocks, 2-4-3 for Winthrop. So far today for the Gamecocks, Hopkins has a couple of hits. Tolbert has 2 hits. Rowe has 3 hits playing second base today with Stokes still out with his injury, so he's on the sideline. Taylor has the grand slam, the homer, the 4 RBIs for him. Logan Chapman started for the Gamecocks. 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Henson is on the mound now, and he's gone 3 innings, given up 1 hit, and walked 1. So the Gamecocks are on their way to another victory. And other game in the state we're following, well, not that closely. Coastal Carolina all over Charleston, 13-0 now. They're in the top of the 8th inning. And a few other scores to pass along of regional note. And there's one other game in the state to mention. That's Wofford. Well, actually 2 more. Wofford and PC are playing. PC is losing at Vanderbilt 4-0. That's in the top of the 4th. Asheville is beating Wofford 6-1, top of the 3rd. Give you some other scores of SEC, ACC teams that are playing today. North Carolina Central leading Duke 1-0. That's in the 5th. And NC State over Charlotte, top of the 9th, 9-6. St. John's is leading North Carolina 5-2. In the bottom of the 8th in Chapel Hill, the Tar Heels already with a couple of losses on the ledger. A couple of other notes. And by the way, if you want to jump on board, 800-956-7266, the number. Preview USC, Georgia. Clemson, Virginia Tech, 800-956-7266. Comment or question or observation. We can get you right on board here on Sports Talk. DeAnthony Melton from Southern Cal announced today he's leaving the program, preparing himself for professional basketball. Sophomore, ensnared in the FBI's investigation into corruption and bribery, was held out of competition this season. I mention this simply because of Brian Bowers over at USC. And in the back of my mind,
Brian Bowen, yeah.
In the back of my mind, I am just wondering if he will stick, or if at some point as the NCAA continues to leave him in a situation where he's not eligible. They've not deemed him eligible yet. He can practice, and obviously now as a transfer, he can't play anyway, but he wouldn't be able to play until second semester of next season. I'm just wondering if he might be pushed towards foregoing his college days and jumping to the NBA at some point, or jumping to professional basketball at some point this spring, or maybe even into the summer. Is he committed, totally committed to sticking with the Gamecock basketball program? Just wondering out loud about that. Marty Herney today was named by the Panthers as the full-time GM again, a role that he held from 2002 through 2012. The team also interviewed Jimmy Ray III, Lake Dawson, and Martin Mayhew. And they're going back to Marty to replace Dave Gettleman. And Herney helped the Panthers rebound from a losing season to go 11-5 and earn a playoff berth. And in his interim role, he'd already changed. He was already charged with directing the Panthers' off-season plans in regards to the roster, and now he'll be able to follow through on those plans. So we'll see. He did a tremendous job with some of his draft picks. He drafted Josh Norman back in the day. He and the Panthers, of course, selected Cam Newton when he was in charge. Julius Peppers, Thomas Davis, Jonathan Stewart. He's a proven guy in that position. And I think that now that the personal stuff that he was charged with has all been investigated and cleared, he can focus on the job. There's no reason why he can't get back to doing what he did for the Panthers and helping to build this roster.
It will be sort of an interesting task for him because, let's face it, one of the examples we saw was the Hank Stram Kansas City Chiefs, when guys loved their guys so much and they held on to them too long, and that franchise died on the vine for a lot of years. So some of those great players that you say he drafted for the Panthers, he's going to have to make some tough decisions when to say bye-bye. We don't have a contract for you. And plus, Corn, they've got to get into a transition period where Cam Newton is not allowed to run.
Yeah.
They better get him some more weapons around there because he's not going to last long with those hits he takes. I know he gets big chunks of yardage on occasion, but he takes some punishment, coming out of that pocket now and again.
Yeah, you wonder what will they do in the draft? Where will they go first? Will it be an offensive lineman? Do they need to perhaps refresh at linebacker because, Davis is getting way up there in years, and Keatley has been dealing with the concussions, and do they have to restock themselves there? It will be interesting to see what direction they move in terms of the first couple of picks in the draft.
Well, they would really be really enticed into taking a guy who can blow the top off the defense. The reason I say that is because Bird is a good guy, but he can't stay healthy for whatever reason. He's a little bit smallish, but you can't belabor the fact that as many fast receivers as you can have in the National Football League is good, because that means you can strike from anywhere on the field.
A couple of other notes. Congratulations to our longtime friend Kerry Rich, who was selected today or announced today by the SEC as part of the Legends class for the SEC representing South Carolina. And he will be introduced as part of that class, the SEC Basketball Legends, during the SEC Basketball Tournament. It's always an interesting thing to watch that because, the SEC Basketball Tournament, generally, if Kentucky's doing well, most of the fans there are Kentucky fans by a large count. Now, they're having this thing in St. Louis. Even when South Carolina is going well in basketball, it doesn't take a big crowd with them to the SEC tournament. I'm sure there'll be a very small number of Gamecock fans there. And, the timing of when you're introduced, you could be introduced during a time when there's practically nobody in the arena and certainly nobody from your team, and there's hardly any applause for you, So let's hope in Kerry's case there's enough people there to recognize him. Of course, Kerry was a tremendous point guard for the Gamecocks from 93 to 95, and he scored 784 career points, 340 assists in 79 games, 6 all-time at USC at 4.3 assists per game. So congratulations to him.
Still, the interesting thing, Corn, is Arkansas, because they're right in Missouri's back door. It'll be interesting to see if Kentucky and Arkansas fans just battle for tickets and see who could push each other's fan base out of the arena in St. Louis.
Be good for the league if Missouri has a strong finish and can hang in for the tournament for a few extra days as well. All right, we'll be right back. Duggar Balcom coming up. We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornblut, the Professor Tom Hayes here with you tonight. Update from USC. It's 12-2. USC over Winthrop. They're in the top of the 7th. Top of the 9th, Coastal Carolina leading the College of Charleston 13-0. Just tipping off over at USC. It's South Carolina and Georgia basketball. We'll keep you up to date on that. Let's welcome in to the program talking about successful basketball. Big win last night for the Citadel Bulldogs, going to East Tennessee, Southern Conference leader most of the season, and handing the Buccaneers a loss. And it's just a continuation of an excellent run of basketball for the most part for Duggar Balcom and the Bulldogs. And Coach Balcom joins us here on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hey, Phil, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Man, whatever you gave your team about midseason, I want you to send some my way, because you guys kind of snapped to and got it going. No, it hasn't been all wins. You've had some losses, but very competitive and some nice wins. What got things rolling?
And thank you. I think maturity probably as much as anything. You know, we have 6 freshmen on our team. Of our 12 guys, 6 of them are freshmen. We don't have any seniors. So I think they kind of got used to playing with each other a little bit and grew up. And the main thing, just started believing they could compete with other people. When things didn't go our way, we kept fighting. You know, early in the season, when things didn't go our way, we kind of caved a little bit. But they've had a lot of resolve and a lot of resiliency, you know, the last month.
Now, I guess the key for you moving forward and building on this is retention and keeping these guys together and holding them over into next season. That would be a big bonus for you if you can keep the bulk of them together.
Yeah, it sure would. You know, last year we had a kid who was SoCon Freshman of the Year, and he lasted about, 6 or 7 games into this year, and we lost him. And that was our leading scorer, 22 points a game last year in conference play. But, you know, the military just wasn't for him, so he ended up going somewhere else. But my nucleus of guys are bought in. They understand, of course, what the Citadel education is all about. They understand the benefit of being at a military school and what it can do for them after basketball. So, but retention is always a worry. But we recruit them every day, and just they know we love them, and they know they're going to get a great education.
Well, it's a tough job, no doubt about it, and holding the people together, especially the good ball players, is a difficult task. But what about last night, going into the league leader at their place, coming away with the victory, and obviously your guys played well, and they didn't cave there towards the end of the game when things could have gotten away?
Well, my junior, my leader, Zane Ashbawi, we kind of been on his back most of this run, and he's just stepped up. He had a huge 3 for us last night with 32 seconds left, I guess. We had a tie game, and he made a big basket for us. And then Frankie Johnson made some big free throws, but they have as good an environment as anywhere ETSU does. They had 4,900 last night in Freedom Hall, and very, very rowdy fans that really know basketball back from the Les Robinson days when they were really, really good going to Sweet 16s and things. So Coach Ford has done an amazing job at ETSU, and they've been certainly the class of the league. So it was really a good win for our guys to go in there and like you say, not cave, but finish off the task and come home with a victory.
Well, part of having a young team is you don't really know what you're going to get, because it seems that your team, as far as intensity is concerned, you've played some of your best ball games against the top of the league. You knocked off East Tennessee State. You got Wofford down in Charleston. How difficult is it with these freshmen, with your unique style, to seduce those other teams that have veterans on it to play the style you want them to play?
Yeah, that's a great point. Our freshmen have been pretty bought in from day one of how we play, and it's a learning process for them, but they certainly believe in the system. But the crazy thing is, one day you'll have a freshman look like a superstar, and the next day they'll look like a middle school player. And that's really been the challenge. We had 2 freshmen who played Virginia Tech, and I had 2 freshmen each go for 22 points. And then the 2 of them didn't combine for 22 points probably the next 3 games. So just up and down. The best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. So, and we'll, hopefully enjoy those benefits next year. But it's been a challenge. It's really been patience for me. I've probably had to be more patient this year than I ever had as my 15 years as a head coach.
Talking with Duggar Balcom, head basketball coach at the Citadel. Of course, you measure success many different ways, and you have to take the little steps before you take the big steps. But now you've won 10 games this year. It's 3 straight years that the Bulldogs have won double-digit victories in a season. That's guaranteed for you. So is that progress? Do you see that as the program moving forward as you look forward to going out and recruiting and replenishing the roster?
Yeah, I think certainly, it takes a lot of work to rebuild a program. And, basketball at the Citadel, we've had football success. We've certainly had baseball success, but there's been very little basketball success. We've had 2 20-win seasons in our 100-year history, and they weren't 21 or 22; they were 20. They were 2-0 on the number, and Les Robinson had one of them, and Ed Conroy had one of them, and that's it. And so to get 3 straight seasons with double-digit wins has been huge. I guess Pat Dennis was the last person to do that, 20-something years ago. So it's still not enough for me. I look at all the close games we've lost this year, the 2-point games and the 3-point games, and I see all that. We lost a heartbreaker. So we lose to the last place team Saturday at home. Yeah. VMI, which one of my former players I recruited hit a 3 to beat us ultimately. And that was probably the worst loss in my 15 years as a head coach. Devastating for me. And then probably last night was the biggest win I've had at the Citadel. So it's crazy 72 hours I've lived through, and unfortunately my kids have had to live through, because I wasn't a very nice person to be around at the Sunday morning practice at 6 a.m. or Monday before we got on that bus to East Tennessee State.
You talked about recruiting, and even with the military aspect, I've got to think that guards love your system. But how difficult is it to recruit height at the Citadel?
Yeah, I always joke, there's not a lot of big men dying to wear a uniform in March. They're just not out there. Our big guy now, Zane, he's 6'6" on, with his tennis shoes on. He's 6'6", but we kind of like that because, like I said, he hit that huge 3 for us last night. He can bring big guys out and post up other guys, use his quickness. So we're never going to have a 7-footer or a 6'11" guy. We're just not designed that way. But it's a challenge to get big guys. And we run things through our center. We try to shoot inside out threes, but everybody just looks at we shoot more threes than anybody in the country. Now guards love that. And we sell that. We sell that we're going to play the highest tempo, fastest tempo of anybody in the country. And we tell them, look at the stats. You'll see that. All coaches say they want to play fast, in the recruiting process. No coach goes into a kid's home and says, if you come play for me, we'll walk it up and we're going to run a set every time. Nobody does that. That's, we always tell recruits, just look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And so it's much easier for guards and wings in our system to find those guys. But, big guys, they're like unicorns for us.
Well, look, you got Mercer Friday, and then Western Carolina Sunday to close up the regular season, and then the SoCon tournament. I got to believe that nobody wants to face you in the Southern Conference tournament the way you guys have picked it up. We thank you for being with us, and good luck next 2 games out, and we'll be watching, and hopefully you'll have a nice long run in Nashville. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be neat. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on, and thanks for following Citadel basketball.
You got it, sir. We appreciate it. Duggar Balcom and the Bulldogs, tell you what, it's been kind of an up-and-down ride for them. Before they won last night, they had lost 4 in a row. Before that, they won 3 of 4. Then they had lost 2. It's just been kind of a real roller coaster for them, but they're playing at a pretty high level right now for the SoCon, and they'll be a tough out in the tournament, I do think. Back in a moment.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, thanks again to Coach Balcom for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. We had tried to get him earlier in the year, but we could not connect because of scheduling issues. So good to get him on with us tonight, and good to see that they are playing good basketball at the Citadel. That is a tough place to build a basketball program, as he pointed out. A lot of good coaches have come through there over the years, and they've had their ups and their downs, and it's good to see that he's got them playing exciting basketball right now. The key is, as we talked about, is being able to keep your roster together and then build on one class after another. Ed Conroy had success there, of course, before he took off. Pat Dennis had a nice run. Thinking of coaches in the most recent years, Les Robinson, most renowned for what he did at the Citadel before moving on as well. So it can be done there. It takes patience. It takes the right combination of players, and he believes in his offense of run and gun and taking as many threes as possible. Volume 3 shooting is his philosophy.
And once in 20 years, you may get a David Robinson who came in the Naval Academy at 6'6.5" and grew to 7 feet.
True that.
By the time he was a junior.
True that. Or to not for a service academy, but always another good story. And look, I mean, great players make coaches who might otherwise be average or above average into great coaches. Dave Odom just fell into Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Just fell, or the other way around. He just fell into their laps at Wake Forest. This was a guy that was a basketball player, but he was a swimmer, primarily coming from an island down there in the Caribbean, and blossomed into maybe the greatest power forward of all time, and led Wake Forest to great heights. And you know what it did? It allowed them to go out and recruit some other really good players behind him. They had that nice run of talent. Childress, whose son is now playing for the Deacons. Who was the other big man they had? Not as big as Duncan, but he was wider.
Rogers.
Well, there's Rodney Rogers. It was another one, though. I think he was a left-hander. Kind of reminded me of Willis Reed in some ways. You know what I'm talking about?
What didn't he transfer those? I was thinking of Lauren Woods.
No.
Yeah, because he was a 7-footer they recruited after Tim.
No, I can't think. He was very, very good, and helped sustain a nice run that Wake Forest had during that time. All right, let's catch you up on some stuff. Over at the arena in Columbia, it's 12-12. USC, Georgia, 11:43 to play in the half. The Gamecocks once again struggling from the floor, 27%. Georgia only 36%. Both teams have made 4 field goals. Both teams have made 2 threes. Both teams have made 2 free throws. That's why it's 12-12. Georgia has turned it over 5 times to USC's once. Georgia leading in rebounding 9-8. Leading scorer for USC, Silva. He's got 4 points and 3 rebounds and a foul early in 8 minutes. And Booker's got 3 on a 3. Myers has got 3 on a 3. Mayton only has 3 points, 2 rebounds in 6 minutes for Georgia. Thus far, Crump leads Georgia with 4 points at this point. Baseball, South Carolina tacks on another run. It's 13-2, top of the 8th. South Carolina leading Winthrop, and it's over at Charleston. Coastal Carolina gets the big win over the College of Charleston, 13-0, 13-14, and 2 to 0-3-5 for the Cougars. They really kicked it around today down at Patriots Point. A couple of other notes. Silver Bluff High School looking for a new football coach after 2 years. Burton Abel resigned after replacing Al Lown. He went 7-14 during his 2 seasons. How about this? Former Spring Valley quarterback Mike Groh, the Eagles last night named him as their new offensive coordinator. He had been the receivers coach. You might remember his dad, Al Groh.
Yes.
Coached for a year at South Carolina, maybe 2. A year or 2.
Maybe 2.
And Michael went to Spring Valley. He was at the high school age. The family moves to Columbia. He goes to Spring Valley. From Spring Valley, he goes to Virginia. And I don't know if he got any NFL snaps or not, but he will become the new offensive coordinator. And as part of the shakeup on the staff there at Philadelphia, Deuce Staley will continue coaching running backs, but he'll also be the assistant head coach. So he gets a little more responsibility as well. All right, to recruiting we go now here on Sports Talk. And USC is in really good shape with defensive lineman Kalijah Cansey, 6'2", 260. He's from Miami. USC, the clear leader, and he is thinking about making a commitment when he visits on March 3rd. He said, quote, "It's like an 80% chance of me committing. That's my top school. That's my dream school. I've always wanted to go there. They are showing the most love." He camped there after his 10th grade year, or going into his 10th grade year, and that sparked his interest in USC, and then Will Muschamp and Travaris Robinson have built on that in recruiting him. He comes from that powerful program in Miami, Northwestern High School, where the Gamecocks already have a commitment in offensive lineman Mark Fox, and they're recruiting another player that they're in good shape with off that team, Samuel Brooks, a linebacker. All are coming in on March 3rd. And Cansey said that Brooks is like 50-50 between USC and Miami. He thinks after the visit to USC that Brooks will make up his mind. Cansey said he plans to sign and graduate early. Last night, Stone Mountain, Georgia, Stevenson High recruiting coordinator Corey Johnson tweeted information on several of his prospects. According to Johnson, linebacker Trey Wilkins has Clemson as his current favorite, followed in order by Georgia, Mississippi State, Florida, and Florida State. The Tigers have not yet offered, but he is in regular contact with Brent Venables, and an offer could come at the March 3rd Junior Day. Wide receiver Deshaun Studemeyer has a top 4 of West Virginia, Tennessee, Michigan State, and USC. And 2020 running back DeAndre Jackson has a top 3 of USC. Back that up. A top 3 of Tennessee, USC, and Florida. USC offered a total of 6 Stevenson players when they visited last Saturday, and the group will visit Clemson for that Junior Day, March 3rd. USC offered a quarterback out in Arizona again, in Chandler, Arizona, Jacob Conover, 6 feet, 185. He has offers from Arizona State, Arizona, Alabama, BYU, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Memphis, and others. Chandler is a suburb of Phoenix, and it's just down the road from Tempe, which is where Arizona State is located. So you would think Arizona State would have a strong pull for him. Clemson offered defensive back Devin Bush of New Orleans, and he's got a boatload of big-time offers. He recently visited Florida State. And 2020 defensive lineman Jamil Burrows of Powder Springs, Georgia, was offered by Clemson. He made an unofficial visit with the Tigers on Tuesday. And a couple of other quick notes to pass along to you from today. Place kicker Patrick Nations of Walhalla plans to visit USC on March 3rd for practice and return for the spring game March 31st. He went to Appalachian State last weekend. He also plans to visit Clemson, Duke, and Georgia Tech soon. There appears to be a growing interest, a strong interest between South Carolina and Nations in particular. 2020 running back Jordan Simmons of Powder Springs, Georgia, was at USC today. He has an offer from the Gamecocks. Clemson offered defensive back Landon Zanders of Shelby, North Carolina. He also has offers from Georgia Tech, East Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Appalachian State. And Presbyterian announced more signees. Offensive lineman Bryce Blackwood of Waxhaw, North Carolina. Receiver Jalen Darby of Orangeburg Wilkinson. Kicker Drew Gilbert of Woodstock, Georgia. Quarterback Mason McLaughlin of Concord, North Carolina. Quarterback Jordan Morgan from Eastside. Linebacker Tyrese Moses of Lawrence. Running back Jarrett Nagy of Cornelius, North Carolina. Linebacker Braden Short of Chapin. Offensive lineman Dylan Threadgill of Broome. Quarterback Joseph Vos of Marietta, Georgia. And defensive back Braylon Williams of Lawrence. They all signed with Presbyterian. What's the basketball
Georgia's
latest?
up 15-12. They're playing South Carolina. They're changing defenses down the court and seducing South Carolina to take a lot of threes early.
15-14 now. 9:24 to go in the half. Top of the hour break. We'll be back. the first two floors
preach to our guys, and we've been pretty good at coming from behind and finding ways to win late in the game over the last couple of years.
Talking with Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach, and just looking at some of your stats through 4 games. You're 4-0, of course, a lot to like, but a couple of things jump out at me. You talk about the walks. I mean, 26-7, the walk ratio, plus your guys have been hit 7 times. That's 33 free passes. Is this an approach at the plate that we can expect to continue as the season moves on?
Well, I think if you look over the stats, over the last couple of years, that's something that we've done. We believe that when we step in the box, that it's our box. We don't, we take our HBPs, we take our hit batters, and, it don't always feel good, but you get first base when the ball hits you. So we just believe in that. We believe in the free pass. We believe in the walk. We believe we're going to win the 3-2 count and just stay in the strike zone. And again, it's just about teaching our guys that quality at bats over batting average matter. The free pass matters. And, we keep a chart of how many free passes we have in a game, because we believe that free passes lead to big innings. And if you can put together a crooked number, we put 2 of them up in Tuesday night's ball game, we're going to score a lot of runs. So it's just something that we preach to our guys. And we find that, the higher our on base percentage is, the more runs we score.
I know you're waiting on Logan Davidson to kind of get it going. Again, it's early in the year, and no sense of panic. He's been batting leadoff for you. You're planning to leave him up there at the top of the batting order at this point?
Well, we feel like Logan's probably the guy in our lineup that's best suited for it. But I'm always willing to move guys around. I mean, we've done that over the last 4 games. I mean, we put Seth in the 3-hole, and I hit him 2 against Furman.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Cromwell, hit in the 3-hole, in the 2-hole. We've had him hit down. We've moved some guys around. We really just try to create the best matchup we can. But also there's times where you do move a guy in the order just to see if it gives him a different perspective. I'm not saying that that's what we're going to do with Logan, but I could. We feel like if we could put, we could probably put Logan just about anywhere in the lineup. Logan's kind of the same guy regardless. If he's leading off or he's sitting in the 2 or the 3-hole, he's just an aggressive hitter from both sides of the plate. He's going to hunt a pitch to hit. He's going to be aggressive. So I would say that at some point we may do it. We may slide it down maybe in the 3-hole, 2 or 3-hole. At some point just to see what happens. But, as of right now, he's our leadoff guy, but I'm definitely not opposed to moving it around just to, maybe give him a different perspective and see if we can get him going.
Excellent. You got time to hang on through a break so we can get a couple of questions in about Dallas Baptist to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll put you on hold and come back to you. Talking with Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach. We'll update a couple of things. It's gone final at USC. The Gamecocks beat Winthrop 15-2. Logan Chapman, the starter, gets the win for USC 15-12-1. Gamecocks leave 7, 2-7-3 for the Eagles, and they leave 7. They are off to a rough start. I think they're now 0-5 on the year. South Carolina improves to 4-1 with their win today. The Gamecocks back in action this weekend at home against Charleston Southern. On the hardwood, 29-24, USC leading Georgia, 2:58 to go in the half. Clemson and Virginia Tech, they are 7-7, 14-23 to go in the half up at Virginia Tech. Clemson off to a 3 of 9 start, including only now make it 4 of 10, including 2 of 7 from three-point range. The Tigers now lead at 10-7, and we'll be right back.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, a good one up at Virginia Tech, Clemson, and the Hokies. It's 12-12, 11 minutes to go in the first half. They're back and forth. This game has gone. 5 points for Marquise Reed, Corn. 3 points for Amir Sims. What am I hearing? What am I hearing in the background? Oh, it's my phone. Why is my phone?
Oops. And while
making that noise?
While you were making a phone noise, South Carolina must have dropped them.
Hang on 1 second. We got too much going on. Yeah, let's get Coach Lee back on the line. Did we lose him? Yeah. And go ahead and bring Will up, and we'll talk to him real quick from the arena.
Yeah, about to say it was 42-27, so South Carolina exploded right at the end of the half.
Well, let's go to Will Pelagic, who's over at the Colonial Life Arena. And indeed, Will, the Gamecocks blew this thing open with a big run in the final couple of minutes of the half.
Yeah, 13-3 run of the final 244 Corn. It looks kind of like the way the last game went to start. Both teams kind of in a bit of a rock fight, but then South Carolina found its footing in the final 5 minutes. They played very good defense down the stretch, got some offensive rebounds, second chance point, and right now a 42-27 lead over the Georgia Bulldogs. 14 from Frank Booker on 4 of 10 shooting. And Sonny Grabat hits a three-pointer right before the end of the half with 3 seconds left. We've seen also a very good explosion from Felipe Hasse. You know, we talked about David Tudd coming into the game. It really looked like there was a regression for Felipe Hasse. We haven't seen a lot of him over the last couple of games, but he comes in with 9 points on 4 7 shooting and 5 rebounds. 14 minutes for Chris Silva, 8 points as well, and he's staying out of foul trouble. There are 4 guys with 2 personal fouls, but right now South Carolina with a very comfortable lead right now, and Georgia struggling to find its footing on offense.
Well, the Gamecocks were shooting like 21% for much of the half, and then all of a sudden they knocked down 5 of their last 6, so they got some great offensive momentum going into the locker room.
They do, and I think one thing that is continuing to at least personify itself for Frank Martin is that they're playing good defense. We've seen a lot of deflections. We've seen a couple of block shots, including one from Tudd. So it's not like these guys haven't played good defense over the last couple. Even the Tennessee game, they played very, very good defense. That's one thing that's been the constant. Didn't have things work out in their favor against the Volunteers. Did so against Auburn, and so far so good for them against the Bulldogs. Is defense has left the good offense going the other way. They've also gotten a lot of help from their bench. And like I said, the second chance points could be the key to this contest. And 10 points for South Carolina off of 10 Georgia turnovers.
All right, thank you, Will. We'll remind everybody to catch Will on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, and also the post-game coverage on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Up at Castle Coliseum, 15-12, Virginia Tech up on Clemson now with 10:21 to go in the half. Again, Marquise Reed leading the Tigers with 5. Elijah Thomas has 4 for Clemson. Clemson baseball coach Monty Lee back with us, and we wanted to take a moment here to talk about your big series coming up. People that follow college baseball recognize Dallas Baptist, Coach, and realize this should be a heck of a weekend series at your place.
Well, Dallas Baptist is one of the top programs in the country. I know quite a few publications pick Dallas Baptist as a team that has a chance to make it to Omaha this year. They're number 10, I think, in one poll, number 11 in another. So, you know, this team is as good as anybody in the ACC or the SEC. They have 3 legitimate starting pitchers, and they have one of the best offenses in the country. So we are going to be tested beyond belief this weekend.
As I recall from what I've seen of them in NCAA tournament play, they usually have some great arms, a lot of hard throwers. Is that what you're going to see this weekend?
Well, they have power arms. They're Friday night guys up to 95 with a power curveball. So, yeah, they do. They've got 3 guys that all throw 90-plus miles an hour with really good stuff, and they're all pro prospects. So we're looking at a team that is as talented, again, as any team that we're going to play this year. This is going to be a really tough test for our guys here at home this weekend.
And coming out of your first 4 games, as far as your arms go, I know you were very pleased that Higginbotham got back out there after being out for a year and looked very good. How are the Arms feeling, and everything going to be the same as far as your weekend rotation?
Yeah, so we'll go with Hennessy game 1, Crawford game 2, Higginbotham game 3. All of our guys have thrown the ball really well. Ryan Miller's been really good out of the bullpen. Spencer Strider's looked good. Riley Gilliam looks as good as, anybody out there at the end of the ball game. So a number of our guys have thrown the ball well out of the pen. We're going to stick with the same rotation for this weekend. And, hopefully those guys can continue to build and get better and better.
Coach, your players seem to show that really they're intense in their preparation of playing any baseball game. But do you feel a extra little heat in the air as they prepare for this Dallas Baptist team? Because down the road, you may be looking at the postseason and say, well, they've got 2 or 3 wins over Dallas Baptist, and Clemson gets that #1 seed. What do you think?
Well, I think all our guys are online and on Twitter, and they know how good Dallas Baptist is. We don't have to tell them how good Dallas Baptist is. I think they understand how good the club is, but we really try to prepare every series the same way. We just talk about the strength of the team that we're playing. So our big thing is just trying to prepare for their lineup and trying to prepare for their starting pitcher so that our guys are as ready as they can be. But we all know what it boils down to. The bottom line is it's the team that makes the fewest amount of mistakes. It's typically the team that's going to win in series like this, and they got an extremely talented club. So we need to play. As good a baseball as we can this weekend. Be clicking on all cylinders if we're going to find a way to win this series.
All right, last thing, we'll let you go. I know it's very early in the baseball season as you have taken a look around the country and followed the early developments. Anything really surprise you? For example, North Carolina lost again today to St. John's. I think that might make them off to like a 2-4 start. Oklahoma's kind of stumbled out of the gates. Anything really surprise you thus far early in the season?
Well, I think it's just early in the season. I think that's the main thing. I mean, it doesn't. I think anything this time of year doesn't surprise us as coaches because we know that it's still early. We're all still trying to figure out sometimes who we want to play on a regular basis, who our rotation is on the mound, and we're still trying to work out kinks. I've seen plenty of teams that wind up in Omaha start out the gates struggling a little bit, and then once they hit their stride, they're tough to beat. I've also seen teams peak early. So you want to win every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, you want to win every game, but I think most coaches will tell you that they don't panic too much. They don't press too much if you struggle in some areas early because you feel like you have time to make some adjustments, make some corrections, get guys at bats, get guys innings under their belt, and they're going to be okay. I can assure you this: North Carolina's going to be fine. They got a heck of a ball club. They're very talented. They're very well coached. They're going to be just fine. But I wouldn't put too much stock into it right now. I think, again, it's early and it's baseball, and you can win and lose on any given day. We all know that about our great sport. There's a lot of parity in college baseball, so I wouldn't worry too much about them.
All right. You guys getting itchy towards for next weekend yet, or?
No, I haven't. We're not worried about next weekend. I can assure you of that. We all know what's ahead of us. We got to take care. We need to take care of Dallas Baptist right now. Dallas Baptist is a heck of a club, and all our focus and all our efforts right now are going in to prepare our team for Dallas Baptist.
Well, no doubt, and I knew you'd say that, which you should, obviously. Next weekend we'll get here soon enough.
That's exactly right. So.
We thank you, and have a great weekend. Good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on, Phil.
You got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, before the Tigers get to the Gamecocks, they got 3 with Dallas Baptist, which is going to be a terrific series. Then they get Winthrop next Tuesday, and then March 2 through 4, beginning in Columbia, then in Greenville, and then at Clemson. It's going to be a great series when that rolls around in another weekend. All right, we'll hit a break. That'll do it for Sports Talk per se. SC Wild, starring the captain, Billy Downer, is coming up next.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblum. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Really should get that opening changed to starring Captain Billy Downer, because we just say hello and we turn it over to you and let you do your thing. Captain Downer from DNR, another night of SC Wild. If you have a question for the captain, 800-956-7266. Email us talkback@sportstalksc.com. Tweet at us at SportsTalkSC. So, good to see you. Glad you're with us. What is this crazy weather doing to the great outdoors?
It's a pleasure to be here with you once again, Phil. The weather is mild. It has got everything blooming, pollen's in the air.
Too soon?
Everyone's sneezing. Yeah, it happens every year. It gets warm. We'll have a cold blast come through again. The bad thing is it makes your plants flower out or start getting buds, and then bam, we get a big frost.
Yeah.
As far as the wild animals of the world, not a whole lot going on here right now. We're finishing up your quail season, finishing up squirrel season, all that. Finish up coon season ends up now. Coming up, my son's been coon hunting almost every night. Trying to get that last coon hunt in before the season ends. March 1st typically brings the end to a lot of our small game seasons, which include quail, which most people would say haven't seen a quail in probably 30 years, but there are some still out there. But squirrel season, coon season, all end here in just a few days, a week or so away.
So what is the next big hunting season?
Turkey season, which is when it starts getting warm like this, you start seeing birds. People are already seeing birds out in fields. Usually right now you're seeing big flocks of gobblers everywhere. You'll see one or two dominant males out there all blown up, strutting their stuff. But this time of year, you start seeing that a little more often. As we get toward the season, mid-March, you'll start seeing them break up. But those big groups still are out there right now. So there's a lot of big, as they call them, bachelor groups out there with lots of gobblers, jakes together. They will soon break up because they won't be able to stand each other for long.
Pretty much statewide?
Statewide.
Yeah.
Statewide.
No particular area of the state better than another?
Oh, always the coastal plain. People used to think lower coastal plain was really good. That was back when the season came in earlier for them. Now the season's the same everywhere. I think it's fair for everybody. Certainly there are areas that have more turkeys than others. That always happens, no doubt about it. In some areas, the turkey gobbling may be higher at one time than others. But we'll talk more about that as we get into turkey season. The big news is this past weekend, the Southeastern Wildlife Exposition. Wow. Folks, if you went to that, you know what I'm talking about. That was probably the largest one I've seen in 25 years. It was off the chain with the people. We were at DNR had exhibits at Brittlebank Park and at Marion Square. Just record crowds. Marion Square, you couldn't move. Brittlebank had lots of people. Of course, they have the dog jump there. They have the dog demonstrations as well. So a lot of fun. They had sheep herding demonstrations. That was kind of fun at Brittlebank as well, in the conservation village there. But big news for DNR is we unveiled our brand new, or newly renovated, Take One, Make One heritage trailer. For those of you that have been around a while and been to the Classic or been to the Coon Festival in Orangeburg and other events, you may have seen at Seawee, you may have seen our Tomo heritage trailer. Folks were familiar with it. It had a little pellet gun range in the back. It had a video game kind of in the middle. Well, we took that thing and completely revamped it, and now it is really a showpiece for us. We took that trailer and put in basically a conservation museum in half of it that highlights the successes in wildlife restoration for the Department of Natural Resources, the Wildlife Department, over the last 70 years, what we've been successful in restoring wildlife populations. So it's a really cool conservation exhibit. As well as in the back, we have a Daisy BB gun range in the back. But the conservation exhibit was a highlight this past weekend. We had 11,200 people, at least that many, go through it. And that was over 3 days. Wow. So it was tremendous showing. Basically, the trailer has a 170 square foot conservation exhibit. We have a deer wall in there. On the deer wall, we've got deer from 1.5 to 5.5 that are displayed as mounts on the wall. You've got a 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, and then a 5.5. Just giving folks a looking at deer and showing that, you know, if you wait, you can see how deer will get bigger. A little trophy management lesson there. But we also really have a really cool 5.5 deer in there, which is a really top of its class. We've got the number 5 deer ever taken in the state mounted in the trailer, which is something for people to see. It scored over 188 points, 188 5/8 to be exact. And people probably would never guess where that deer came from.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to guess now. This is not, I haven't Googled.
Out of the 46 counties in South Carolina, where did the number 5 deer, non-typical in the state, come from?
It came from, I'm going to tell you, it came from Williamsburg.
No. Next. Good try, though.
You're going to give me, am I close? Am I hot, cold, cool?
Yeah, cold.
Cold. All right. That tells me further upstate. So I'm going to say Oconee.
You got freezing now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, freezing.
Other end of the state, huh?
Freezing. She's closer to where it's from than you are right now.
Marlboro County, Darlington
County.
County.
Oh, good one.
Marlboro?
You just nailed it.
Came from Marlboro County, huh?
People wouldn't believe that came from Marlboro County. Actually, this deer was found in the 30s by two brothers turkey hunting. One of their friends, it's believed, shot the deer.
This deer goes back to the 1930s?
Yes. That's the cool part.
And
the antlers on this mount are over 80 years old. Yes.
Wow.
Really cool. They're in great condition, but the deer has had several cakes put on it before, of course. But they found this deer in the 30s when they were turkey hunting, found the carcass and the antlers. It stayed in an old country store in Marlboro County for quite some time until one of our wildlife commissioners got it and had it remounted, and taken to the office. Stayed in the office for years, and we redid it for this trailer. It is fantastic looking, but that deer is tremendous as far as the rack. It's 188 5/8.
Wow.
Tremendous deer. It takes 125 to get in the state book, so that's a lot more than the state book requires. And to be number 5 is really cool. The other highlights in the trailer, we talk about our turkey project, the successes. We have a full mount gobbler. I can tell you, for me, it was neat watching the people walk through the trailer. The gobbler, for whatever reason, all the colors on that, ladies particularly are just fascinated by it. All the colors that come out of the feathers, and how it's blown up in the head, and all the things, the unique features of the turkey gobbler. We also have a bear in there, black bear. We show the black bear as far as the population, where they are in the state. People were surprised by that. A lot of people have no idea we had black bear in South Carolina, much less that they're on the coast.
Yeah.
And they're in Horry County, Florence County, Marion County, all the way down to Berkeley and Charleston County, and all the time. Sustainable population there as well as the mountains. So that was kind of neat. Then we have a waterfowl exhibit where we have really cool mounts. Matt Taylor from Woods and Water Taxidermy did a really good job of that. We have a mottled duck mount in there, and a wood duck box with wood duck, hen, and drake. Beautiful mounts. Storyboards go with all this to tell everyone the story of successes. You know, deer in the state. We talk about it on the show. We laugh about people getting hit by, deer getting hit by cars, or cars getting hit by deer. And at one time in the 20s, we had 20,000 deer in the state. Now we have 750,000 deer in the state.
Wow.
Deer were released all the way up into the 70s in Piedmont, not the Piedmont, excuse me, but in the mountain region. So it's pretty cool. You can look at the picture. You can see black and white pictures of deer being released. Then you see a color picture with Daryl Shire. All across the state, and now turkeys are in all 46 counties. So
the deer population, as big as it has grown, is there a need to expand the deer hunting season to better control the population?
No, we talked about that. The height of the deer season was about 2 million animals, and that was in 2000. A million animals, my bad, in 2000. And some things happen. Natural disease comes in, not CWD, not things people worry about.
Right.
But the population is down about 750,000. We maintain that by taking around 250,000 animals each year. So good population.
So that's a good number. That's a controllable number.
Good number
at this point. All right, we'll be back with more SC Wild here on Sports Talk. Going to talk about the kids and some shooting sports out there for them with the captain coming up in just a moment.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblum. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Well, I might be the host, but I'm not the star. The star is Captain Billy Downer. You won't mind if I update basketball, will you?
Make it quick, Phil.
Real quick, it's on your dime. South Carolina leading Georgia 47-40, 14:39 to play. And Clemson leading Virginia Tech 25-24, 21 seconds ago in the half. One of the things I really enjoy hearing you talk about is the competition for the kids around the state trap and skeet championships, things of that nature. How'd things go?
Just 2 weeks ago, we held a state skeet and trap championship at the Palmetto Shooting Complex in Edgefield for Turkey Federation. We selected the top 180 shooters from club and school teams from both of our open events, and 180 shooters came to the trap state championship on Friday, and 180 shooters came to the state skeet. So we had 405 shooters attend the trap open, and we had to select 180. Out of that, we had under 400, just under 400 attend skeet. We had to select 180 out of that again. So getting the best of the best. The fun thing for me, and what I always enjoy announcing, is we gave out $26,000 in college scholarships at those 2 events over the weekend. At each event, the top male and female graduating senior from both schools and clubs received a $1,500 check for school. Second place received $1,000, and third place received $500 each. We also had 2 $500 scholarships each day given away from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy Sports and Outdoors was the sponsor of our state skeet and trap championship. They also provided they provided shotguns for the top male and female shooter both day.
Cool.
So we had a great event. A couple of neat things happening there. I'm going to announce a little announcements, a couple shout outs to the first place finishers. Our trap championship on Friday, first place male for schools was Carson Cockrell from North Augusta High School, brand new team, did very well this year. First place male from clubs was Nicholas Dara from Rocky Knoll, that's a club team. First place female from school was Bethany Stokes from Jefferson Davis Academy. First place female from clubs was Brianna Gibson from Richland Creek. Really cool with Brianna. We had a tie at the end of the event that day and had to do a shoot-off. Brianna shot off with Madison Sharp at our trap. They basically take they take and shoot 2 shots at each of the 5 stations on trap. At the end of that, they were still tied. So we had to go to a shoot-off again from the 19-yard line, which is further back. Made them stand in the middle further back. Brianna shot 15 in a row and was putting her hand behind her looking for shells. She ran out of shells. So we stopped it and let Madison shoot. She shot about 4 or 5 times, and then she did miss. So Brianna actually won that in the shoot-off and ended up being the first place. It was pretty cool to see that.
Let me ask you a question. You don't like it when I get off topic here completely, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Now, we do male-female basketball and separate them in various sports. Why in shooting is it necessary? My point is there an advantage? Do men have an advantage over women when it comes to shooting guns? Is it a strength thing, or why couldn't they just compete head-to-head, men versus women? I don't see where physiologically there would be that much of a difference.
A lot of times, Phil, you're right. Girls can outshoot boys, particularly in archery sports. We see that a lot. However, traditionally, there's a boy side and a girl side, and we do the same thing here to give girls a shot. It also gives us a shot to give more scholarships out. So we give girls scholarships and boys scholarships. So it gives us twice the amount of scholarships. But again, it's tradition. We do boys and girls. If you look at the scores overall, a lot of times boys are going to be higher, yes. But there are some girls out there I can think of that are very good shots, and they will outshoot the boys a lot of times. Brianna being a good shot, she's one of those. Madison Sharp, another good one. Bethany Stokes, these are all good shooters. Tangi McPhee, we'll talk about her in skeet, but the skeet championship, first place male for school was Mason Payer from Wilson Hall and Sumter. First place male from clubs was Samuel Dodd from Belton Birdbusters. First place female from schools was Emily Tumbleton from Ashley High School, another public school, just got started about last year. This is their second year, and they had a senior win first place, which is pretty cool. She won a $1,500 scholarship. First place female from clubs was Tangi McPhee from Mid Carolina Gun Club. A couple neat things. We had 2 shooters over the weekend shoot 50 straight, which is a big deal in skeet and trap. They shoot 50 straight targets, didn't miss.
Wow.
Cooper Gleaton, Orangeburg Prep, shot 50 straight at trap championship. Samuel Don from Belton Birdbusters shot a 50 straight at state ski championship.
I love that name, Belton Birdbusters.
The Belton Birdbusters rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? They've got a lot of good shooters. Now, SCISA, South Carolina Independent School Association, our state skeet and trap is their championship as well. This year we grew to have a ladies and a men's championship for SCISA, which was really cool. Had enough competitors in that. Congratulations to SCISA State Men's Trap Champions from Orangeburg Prep, Cooper Gleaton, David Gettings, and Daniel Robb. The SCISA State Men's Trap runner-up was Wilson Hall, John Parker, Mason Payer, and Matthew Blankenship. SCISA State Ladies Trap Champions were Jefferson Davis Academy, Anna Morgan, Caroline Robinson, and Bethany Stokes. The Ladies State Trap runner-up was South Aiken Baptist Christian School, Grace Poole, Skylar Riley, and Brittany Yarnell. Congratulations also to the SCISA State Men's Ski Champions from Thomas Hayward Academy, C.J. Cleveland, Mark DeLong, and Chandler Thames. The SCISA State Men's Ski runner-up was from Orangeburg Prep, Cooper Gleaton, David Gettings, and Daniel Robb, same team again shooting skeet. SCISA State Ladies Champions were from South Aiken Baptist Christian School, Grace Poole, Skylar Riley, and Brittany Yarnell. And then the Ladies State Ski runner-up was PD Academy, Anna Johnson, Lacey Johnson, and Callie Ann Smith. Shooting sports is growing. We're seeing more and more schools enter the sport. The discipline, as I've said before, and the focus it takes to be able to hit the target, really we see translating to the classroom. They focus in the classroom. They want to do well in schools so they can go out and shoot on the team. Again, it's a quick club sport. SCISA is a varsity sport. We have 600 shooters coming this fall, not this weekend, but next weekend, 6th grade through 12th grade registered already to shoot at the Governor's Cup Youth Sporting Clay Open on Friday, March the 2nd and Saturday, March 3rd. Tremendous support from the Hampton Wildlife Fund and other sponsors. We'll be giving away an additional $38,000 in scholarships. So this year, we went from $50,000 to $64,000 in college scholarships for graduating seniors who participate at these events. You know, again, first place is going to receive $2,000 at the Youth Open, second place $1,500, and third place $1,000. And past that, we will have the top overall senior male and female will receive an additional $750 scholarship from the South Carolina Sporting Clay Association. And then past that, we'll give away 19 other scholarships drawn from the hat. If you're there and you're a senior and you participate at the Open, you're eligible to be drawn for another scholarship. We'll give away 19 other $1,000 scholarships.
Where is the Open taking place?
Palmetto Shooting Complex, of course, in Edgefield, the National Wild Turkey Federation.
That's great. That's great. How is the range that you guys were developing outside of Columbia coming along?
Watery Range is doing great. In fact, you know, one of our goals in opening that range up was to let youth teams shoot there, to give them an opportunity to practice in the middle of the state. A lot of teams, Louisville High School up from Chester's coming all the way down an hour and a half to practice there for skeet and trap. Wilson Hall School, Heathwood Hall here in Columbia, several others coming from across Lugoff Elgin High School coming to practice there as well. So we've seen a tremendous, like I said, tremendous growth in the shooting sports. Support for that. Schools are really taking this on. The kids are getting better at it. And, you know, Clemson, again, we've got a team out there, national champions in skeet, trap, sporting clays. The club team, they won in 2013, and now they won again last year, 2016. So
you can see one of those signs on the interstate that says Clemson national champion skeet shooters.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
No doubt about it.
Clay shooters. Great stuff. If people need more information, parents listening want to get in touch, who should they get in touch with?
Go DNR. DNR website, dnr.sc.gov. As always, look at education, and then you'll find the icon for Scholastic Clay Target Sports. And then our National Archery and Schools program. National Archery and Schools program having our Columbia Regional coming up this coming Friday and Saturday, this Friday, Saturday at the State Fairgrounds.
As always, we thank you, sir. Great job. Good seeing you.
Always good to see you.
49-42, USC leads Georgia. 12 minutes to go at the half. It's Virginia Tech 26, Clemson 25. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have fun in the great outdoors.